Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Sensei Speaks Life Without the Filter, where we wake up the wisdom, confront the truth, and learn the lessons that helps us grow into our best selves. My name is Paula Bell, and I am your host for today. Welcome to Season 1, Episode 8, where we're going to talk about everything related to environment. But before we get started, I have to give a couple of disclaimers. Number one, I am not a therapist and will not offer any medical advice. I am not trained, qualified, or able to diagnose or treat any form of mental illness or disorder. And some topics may be triggering, so give yourself space. Please interact with us via chat. If you have questions, post them in the chat, leave your comments, and especially if you have questions, we might be able to answer them live. Also, please subscribe to the Life Coach Sensei YouTube channel, or you can also find the show Sensei Speaks Life Without the Filter on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Now let's go ahead and jump right into today's topic. Today I am joined by my dear friend, I call her my sis, Karen Allen. She's joined me on another podcast that I co-host, Keeping You Wise by Keeping It Real, so you may have seen that. We had a wonderful discussion then on the topic of lost in translation, communication between the sexes. And today we talk about another important topic, work environment, and what it looks like when you are thriving, or maybe you're just surviving. So Karen, welcome to the show. It's great to have
Thank you.
you.
Thank you so much. Hello. Thanks for
Yes,
having me on.
yes, yes. So for those who may not have seen you on the other podcast, Keeping You Wise by Keeping It Real, why don't you go ahead and tell the audience a little bit about yourself and let them get to know you a little bit.
Absolutely. Thank you. Again, thank you. Yes. Paula and I have had some amazing conversations. So we're excited to bring this to other people too and see what everyone thinks. Again, I am Karen Allen, and I guess I'll share a bit about myself as it pertains to today's topic. Absolutely. So, myself, for more than 20 years, I have led cross functional, diverse teams across many industries: tech, healthcare, economic development, nonprofit, and very happily coast to coast in the States as well as internationally. So I have built a career on scaling programs and initiatives, finding solutions, getting results in high visible and high stakes environments. And my favorite, developing team members to the highest of their capabilities. Along the way, I've worn a lot of different hats, as many of us do, right?
Yep.
And just you know what, my LinkedIn, it'll show the numbers and the stats, but a lot of different hats, happily, along the way. I've also been, I guess, what in today's world is being labeled as the unicorn, right? The employee who is
Mhm.
spread thin, delivering exceptional results nonetheless. And key, again, that I know many of you will relate to, fulfilling multiple roles, even when some of those roles have nothing at all to do with my title, maybe, because people know I get it done. Paula knows I get it done. And I love
You
doing
do.
that. I
You
love
do.
getting the results.
You do.
Um,
I can't
thank
argue
you.
that. You do. You definitely get the results. You definitely do the work. And that's how you and I actually we worked for us the same organization for a couple
Mm,
of years, and we just worked really well together and collaborated together because we do have that in common. So, yes, I
yes.
will definitely say you are definitely one of those people who can deliver under high pressure and make things happen,
Thank
especially when
you.
people don't think you really can. So
Yes.
I would have to agree with all of what you just said. So, with
Thank you so
that,
much.
since you've worked
Hmm.
in so many different environments and
Hmm.
I've seen you in different environments, how do environments shape how people show up, even subconsciously?
Yeah, absolutely. No, environment, we were talking about this. Environment, I think, is like a full body experience. It doesn't, when you're walking into someplace, it doesn't matter if it's a store, your kid's school, church, home, at the end of the day, there's a vibe to it, right? There's just a vibe to it. So when you walk into work, and for those of us who work remote, there's still a going to work. There is a going to work, and you feel that shift. So you feel that in the environment. Do you feel the same when you walk in the building? Is there a high collaborative energy? Or is it like, okay, you know what? I'm actually going to sit in my car, or I'm going to sit at my desk before I enter that virtual meeting. Am I going to sit here, take, 4 deep breaths and do that mantra? I can get through this. which is it? You know in your job which it is. And some jobs it's not uncommon to cycle through. Sometimes they're really collaborative, exciting results. We're almost there, we're at that deadline. And then other times, you got to work through the toughness to get to those. So that's environment, I feel, is it's a full body experience. It's your mental attitude. You know if you're paying attention how you feel about that.
So, what would you say are some key signs someone is surviving instead of
Mhm.
thriving in that environment as you talk about vibe?
Right. Okay, so I'm a visual person, so I'm going to try to take you all along in my visual. Bear with me.
All right.
I had the privilege coming out of COVID to work with some amazing leaders, both in nonprofit human service and corporate, in like a medium-sized metro area around trauma mitigation. So, for those of you who are familiar with that, trauma, we may carry something that happened years ago. We may carry something that is happening right now into every space again that we're coming into. So, how does this affect people thriving versus just surviving? There's a visual that has stuck with me ever since, and it's a house. So, in the Midwest, we're going to picture a 3-story house. And in the Midwest, we get tornadoes from time to time. We get some severe thunderstorms. Uh, when that happens, the storm sirens go off, and we physically run to the basement with, we don't take anything. We run to that basement, we shelter in place, we watch the weather. We are solo focused on that weather. When can we be safe again? If someone's surviving at work, there's chaos going on around them. They don't know where to turn for support. They aren't quite sure about the structure. So they come in and they are doing their task. And they're doing that task and trying to survive, right? Trying to do that to the best of their ability, avoid any criticism, hope for celebration. We all do. But now, if we're surviving in that same visual, the storm sirens have ended, the sun has come out, we can go wherever we want. The house is all safe. The storm has cleared, the sun is out, like I said. That's the same as thriving in the workplace. We don't hear those alarms going off. We're not worried about what this person is saying over here, if our leadership is how they're going to show up today, if our colleagues are going to be supportive. We know there's support in place and we can thrive. We can share new ideas without the fear of being, again, criticized. Um, we can take on maybe new tasks, not to be that unicorn to take on all the tasks, but say, hey, you know what? I know I'm doing this task. What if it looked this different way? What if we had this different goal, this bigger goal as a team? You start suggesting things. You go outside the box, outside the house, and grow into your role and with your team.
Okay, so you mentioned something there, and I want to go a little bit deeper because I do
Mhm.
think that this plays a really huge role. What role does leadership play in shaping
Mhm.
environment? I'm gonna jump
Mm.
in on this one after you talk too.
I
So,
was going
what
to say, do
role?
you want me to or you
Oh
to?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, no, no. You go first. You're the guest, but
Yeah,
I'm quite sure I'm gonna have something to add to this piece. So, what
absolutely.
would you say?
Leadership is key. Leadership sets the tone. Again, I am loving. Our daughter has her first like true job. Maybe that's not the right word to say, but um,
Hmm.
she's helped out neighbors and stuff before, babysitting and pet sitting and all that stuff. But she has her first true clock in, clock out job. It's retail. It's fantastic. So it is truly every level. I see that leadership in that store is amazing. So leadership sets the tone. That leadership is a great example of they include their employees on a lot of things, meaning all the different tasks I'm going to teach you. And then each day, which one of those you're coming in to do for the day. When we grow as a team, and I'm going to inform everybody at the same time. They may be a retail shop, but they have monthly subscriptions. They go online, they are on socials. It's just fantastic. So the leadership sets the tone. Is the leadership open? Is it dynamic? And is it always looking forward? What's the next? As well as how do we make sure we bring everybody along in a supportive way? I'll stop there because I know there are some things.
No, I
Yeah.
100% agree. So, with both of us have been in leadership positions, so we know,
Mm,
from a leader's position, we have a certain responsibility and accountability. There's a couple of things that happen with leadership, right? The things that you do, you model behaviors. So, whatever
mhm,
behaviors you model can permeate down into your team, whether that's positive
mhm,
or negative. Those impacts can happen, right? But what I've
mhm,
also found is that there are people who have been put in leadership positions who don't know how to lead. The reason they
Hmm.
might have received that position is because they were a high performer. So
Right.
it just naturally progression should be, you should be in a
Yep.
leadership role. The problem with that though is if the leader isn't actually prepared to be in
Hmm.
that role, the havoc
Hmm.
that person can have on that environment and the
Very true.
destruction that can come with that is far reaching. And that
Hmm.
destruction can happen for, can impact for years to come. So they might only have been a
Hmm.
leader for a year or two, but the things that they may have done, the environment that they may have
Yeah.
created, may have caused a shift in culture that's not great. And a lot of people equate leadership with power. And
Hmm.
you don't have to be power tripping to get your point across or
No.
to have a team that's high performing. It's really about understanding the strengths of
Hmm.
your team. It's okay for somebody to be smarter than you. That's why you have a team,
Yes,
right?
please.
I
Please.
actually want you to be smarter than me. That's why I
Yes.
hired you, because you have the
Teach me.
skill, right?
Yes. Hmm.
All of that
Yeah.
stuff is important, but a lot of times people go in with the wrong mindset of what a leader is.
Mm.
And a manager and leader don't always equate either.
No.
You would hope that your managers would be leaders, but that's not
Hmm.
always the case, right? So it's really important as leaders that we are modeling the behaviors that we want to see in the
Hmm.
organization. We are walking
Right.
the talk. We're just not saying it, right? But we're actually living it and we're walking
Hmm.
in it. And respect your team. Respect the
Yes.
skill and the value that your team brings to the table. I'm in a position right now where I've
Yes.
started a new position and I have two direct reports,
Congratulations.
right? Well, thank you.
Hmm.
Yes, I have two direct reports, right? At the end
Hmm.
of the day, yeah, I'm your
Hmm.
leader. That's great. But I can't do this
Hmm.
without you. So, how are we going to work
Right.
together, collaborate together to
Hmm.
help you finish your projects, remove
Yeah.
barriers or roadblocks, all of those things, right? So I think a lot of
Hmm.
times the leadership, and another thing that we don't do really a good job of is when we
Hmm.
see a leader that's toxic, we don't get them out fast enough.
That's common. I mean, that's common again across industries, right? Change is
Mm-hmm,
hard at every level.
mm-hmm,
That's common,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
unfortunately.
But
Yeah.
the havoc that person wreaks, right? So imagine if
Hmm.
all of your
Very much.
institutional knowledge leaves because you have a leader
Hmm.
who doesn't know how to lead. Right.
Yeah.
And so then you've lost all of that institutional knowledge. You're bringing in new,
Hmm.
and then that creates that chaos environment. Right. It's really leadership is
Yeah.
really serious. I know there's a lot of people
Mm.
who want to be in management and they want that role.
Oh,
There's a
that's
lot of weight
dangerous.
that
Yeah.
comes with that. Right.
Hmm.
Would you
If you just
agree
want
with
the
that? There's
title,
a lot of weight that comes
it's
with
not
that.
just the title. I've always said, call me whatever the title is.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. There is a lot of weight that comes with it. But some people just they get to the title and they kind of stop. Right.
Right.
I made it. Yeah.
Right.
So I agree with so much you said there. And, for years, I have been telling my teams, you'll be able to spot the true experts because they will never tell you they know everything. They will
Mm-hmm.
always want to know
Mm-hmm.
more.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it is so common. That's funny enough with the trauma mitigation. That was one of the kind of the subsets of information we had is in again across all industries, across many industries, a lot of people get promoted to managing and no training. So that was a
Mm-hmm.
whole subset of things that we were addressing. Absolutely, though, it's I just had before, I also am currently looking for a job, but most recently I was training a couple classes, and my intro to the class is, hey, you're new, we're just meeting for the first time. Yes, you're here to learn from me about the organization, about your new role. But guess what? Today, I want to learn just as much from you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's setting those tones right from the start, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So to your point, how does leadership play? Yes, being the role model, living it, and also kicking it off right from the start with those expectations of be open. And
Mm-hmm.
it is hard. Change is hard. So yeah, if there's a toxic leader or if something starts taking a negative turn, it's real hard sometimes for the right folks to see it and then to make that hard decision.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, let's
Hmm.
go a little bit deeper. So we talked about leadership being one of the pieces in this
Hmm.
puzzle of whether
Yeah.
you're surviving or thriving in this environment, right? How about
Hmm.
communication? How does communication impact the culture, impact the trust, impact the
Hmm.
environment? What would you say to that?
Yeah. Um, Communication is, I do love that now in the workplace for a beat now, right? There's a lot of focus on communication because it's always been there. It's always been a strength or
Right.
a weakness or somewhere in between. But I do love that there is a focus on it. I smile a lot when you say communication because that is such a deep part of who each individual is, that is how you get to know, that's how I get to know my team. What is your communication style? So communication is, I love change, I know dynamic and really unique situations and results. That's where I live, that's my happy place. Let's try something new, let's do something, let's great, go for the big ideas. um but you got to know how you communicate with each individual on that team.
Mhm.
Leadership cannot have, oh, well, I'm a this kind of communicator, so everybody, right, adjust. I've been on teams, right, again, more than 20 years, dating back. I've been on teams where it's okay, how do you approach? And literally, my colleagues, I would hear them talking about, well, gosh, I have to tell our manager this. How should I phrase it? What? I don't ever want to be that manager, ever.
Mhm.
Communication is individual. So I think it shapes the team first, knowing that it's individual.
Mhm.
Communication shapes the team by identifying where the strengths are.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, I would have to say communication is one of those topics that constantly come up and the topic that can make or break you,
Hmm.
right? So,
Hmm.
from a standpoint of myself, if you want to shut me down in a meeting, talk to me condescendingly or interrupt me
Hmm.
constantly or just
Hmm.
say something off the wall. And if I feel like my voice isn't being heard, why am I going to keep talking? Why am
Hmm.
I going to waste that energy to keep
Right.
talking? Right. And so
Hmm.
sometimes also, especially as leaders or anybody, honestly, if you're collaborating, a lot of times it's best to just listen, be quiet for a minute, even though you might have an opinion,
Very
just
much.
pause
Hmm.
and let's listen to what the other person is saying because that other person could potentially be bringing up something that you haven't thought about or that you
Yes.
may not know. And
Yes.
so, in order for you to make an informed decision,
Hmm.
just listening to the other perspective and letting them get it out the way they need to get it out is really important. I can't tell you how many meetings I've been in
Hmm.
where it gets real contentious really quick for no reason.
Hmm.
And it is because just people just won't listen, right? People want to cut you
Right.
off. They
Very
want to
much.
pretty much say, this is my opinion. And I feel very strongly about this opinion. So it needs to be your opinion as well.
Hmm.
People don't, it's almost like they're listening to respond, not to understand where you're coming from, right?
Very much.
And that
Yes.
will hurt culture and trust in
Hmm.
any minute. Or this is the other thing
Hmm.
that I can't stand. You can tell me if you experience this too, but this is one that just gets underneath my skin like nobody's business. I said what I said.
Yes.
Don't try and restate what I said. I said what I said.
Hmm.
Now, if you
Ask if you
want
have a
me to say
question.
it, correct.
Yeah.
Or if you
That's
have, if you are not comprehending what I'm saying,
hmm.
ask me. But don't
Uh-huh.
try and change my narrative. I said what
Very
I said,
much.
right? And
Very
there's a lot of
much.
times where people, because they're uncomfortable,
Hmm.
try
Hmm.
and put themselves in a state where they're comfortable. This isn't about you though. Everything is not about you.
That, yes. Right. Especially in leadership. Some people get that idea.
Hmm.
Everyone's looking to me. Well,
Hmm.
if you're a great leader, they shouldn't be. Shouldn't
I have
have
to
to.
agree. I have to
And
agree.
yeah, in those meetings like you talk about, and it's fine, it's learning too with the individuals, how do they like, if you have questions, there are some of those more reserved, I'm not even going to say shy, but folks that are more reserved, they're taking it in, they're thinking about it, they're talking about it.
Right.
They may feel better if you do have a question, if it doesn't need to be answered in that moment, save your question for later, talk to them one-on-one.
Hmm.
Or if it is someone who's more conversational, has to talk through to get to the resolution, yeah, absolutely in the meeting. But it's also communication. That's another layer, right? Is
Hmm.
know when to communicate with your team members and individually. Again, we can't always do the ideal situation, but understand that so you can address that as much as possible. And yes, with me, you hit on a nerve. That's, I think, the last podcast too. Communication between the sexes. Hear my
Mm-hmm.
words and
Mm-hmm.
trust my words. But
Yes.
something I've seen in multiple, again, in multiple experiences and teams, I've had people say, gosh, that was a really hard meeting. How did you keep up with the conversation? How did you stick to your point? I think I was lucky enough. I will say this. I started out my professional working life in call centers. So if I had a thin skin, that those days would have been long and rough. You
Mm-hmm.
learn to hear the words and not the tone. But
Mm.
along with that, I think so that's helped me understand and hear people's words. Yes, I have no problem saying, is this what here's what my understanding of that is, or the next step in that, is that what you meant? That's great. To your point, Paula, don't put words in my mouth. It's real hard, real frustrating for me when I learned that someone not only put words in my mouth, but did so in a room that I was not present in.
Ooh.
Took what I said and maybe said, that's not strong leadership. And again, thankfully, I've looking for a job. I've been in touch with a lot of previous teams. Love my team has come with me at different places, come to me with anything and everything, whether it's,
Mm-hmm.
something they want to celebrate and they want to do more in their role, or something they want to tell me, what, this just is not working out for me, this aspect. Yes, please come to me, be open, but please don't say what you think I said or what your interpretation was when I'm not in the room and misrepresent. That's,
Well, you said
yeah.
something there that I think
Mm,
it would be great if you could explain to those who are watching now or will be
mm,
watching in the future. You said
mm,
hear the words, not the tone. How do you
mm.
not let the tone get in the way of the words? How do you do that?
Um, it's constant effort. If that's the easiest way to put it. I am a results driven person, right? I don't mean
Mm-hmm.
numbers, numbers, numbers. I'm a results. I want to see if it's a team member that wants to hit that next mark and they want to learn something new. All right, I am with you. I am on that trip with you. I'm on that journey with you. Let's make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm thinking again of the group meeting that you're talking about. I'm going to answer the question that came to me. If there's a tone I didn't love, I didn't agree with, I didn't think was professional, I'm going to take that one on one later and say, hey, I felt this. But in the moment, in order to get to the result, I'm going to hear the words and then I'm going to address the tone at another time when it's not affecting the flow of the progress. So if
Okay.
it's a tone that I felt one on one, but we're in a meeting of, 15 people, I don't want to slow every one of those 15 people to hash out that tone. I'm going to answer the words and circle back later one on one. It's just getting to the result faster. That's what I've learned to do.
So, what would you say? This is totally just off the
Yeah.
cuff. The question is just off the cuff.
Come at me,
What would
tone.
you say? Yeah, yeah, yeah. What would you say, or can you give us a scenario of the toughest meeting
Mm,
that you've been in that to this day, no matter where it
mm,
was in your career, you remember it because of
mhm.
the impact it had on you? And how did you overcome whatever the challenge, the
Sure,
situation was in that meeting?
sure. Gosh, pieces and parts, right? Um, a lot of it is listening. One I can think of, I worked for an organization that was a benefits administrator. Um, had some great benefits too while I worked there, by the way.
I
So just
don't know
FYI, if
where
you're
those have
looking
gone,
at
but
industries, I know, right? They're not, I checked, they're not quite the same, still great. Um, but I was given the task to improve the experience of a major client that was not happy.
Mhm,
And here's the hard part, I think, for a lot of folks. You were talking about leaders. It's not all about you. It's almost, if you're going to have a mantra, you have to, that's a good one. It's not all about me. It's not about me in this moment. Um, the first couple meetings with the main clients, and I think there were three, four, five people. It was a large international company. So when we're talking about their benefits and their benefits working well for them, we're not talking about small dollar amounts at
mhm,
all,
mhm.
and they just didn't feel like their benefits were being processed through and utilized and everything appropriately and to the best of the ability of their staff, reporting back from our organization, a lot of different things. um, it's how did I deal with it? So I really know it's not about me, and if I start to get defensive, because they're coming down there. It's a heated conversation. We are gonna get nowhere. If I react in response, that's even worse. I am I hopefully a skilled de-escalator. That's what I've been trained to do in many jobs. So it's really hearing what they want as the ultimate goal. And not, oh gosh, one of my least favorite, I'm going to say right now, one of my least favorite phrases, oh, I'm sorry you feel that way. Please don't say, please, if you are any client facing role, please do not say, I'm sorry you feel that way. I'm sorry for your experience. I'm so, there are different ways you can apologize, but when you push like, oh, your feelings, that usually doesn't, it's not received well. But saying,
Mm,
repeating back to them, if I'm hearing you correctly, I want to start to make sure, I want to start with this pulse check, this fact check, really. This is where you're saying you've had the issues. Yes, yes. I need to know when am I going to have results? So how have I handled that? Listening to hear, removing my feelings from the equation again in the moment, because it's not about me. Again, making sure if there are any adjustments I need to make. No, you didn't understand that. Okay. And being honest.
mm,
So I have found a lot of success in being honest, but not oversharing. They don't need to know if
mm,
it's a 20-step process I'm going to go and do. The client doesn't want to know that. The person, the funder, right? They don't want to know that. But say, hey, here's what I intend to do. I need to do some research. So in that case, I need to research these things. So
mhm,
you want a time for results. I can't give that to you today, but I will, as by this date, I will have that idea for you. I will have those results
mhm,
and when to know what your timeline is. So it's really listening and setting the tone there too. Yeah, a lot of heated stuff. And I think we all struggle with different things, right?
mhm,
There are times when the goal or the ask is just not rational. Sometimes in that repeating back to them, they see that or they hear that,
mhm,
and there's an adjustment at that point. But if people are really frustrated and high and elevated and passionate and angry, whatever, yelling, that's not usually the place that person started. So I try to get them back to the point. Where did you start? Where did this start for you? And yeah, you said it. Not take it personally. That's hard. Um, but I'm driven by results. If results make us all happy,
mhm,
but
mhm,
let's make sure we have that check of understanding first, not just, oh, I know what to do and I'm gone, right? I'm gone and
mhm,
I'm on my own journey
mhm,
there. Yeah,
mhm.
but there have been a few times, yeah,
Oh,
more than a few.
we've been in some together. So I think
Mm.
we both have seen how we've handled
Mm-hmm.
escalated situations and how we've navigated that. And sometimes it works and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it doesn't because some people are
Right.
just in their own ways. From a leadership perspective, what I would
Right.
caution or say I've learned in my
Mm-hmm.
career, you cannot be an emotional leader. You cannot make
No.
decisions on emotion. You just cannot. So if
Mm-mm.
you do not have a clear mind, and you can't,
Mhm.
and I'm probably not even supposed to be using this word anymore, but I'm gonna use it anyway because it's my podcast and it's unfiltered. So if you have bias that comes in, all of us do,
We all, yes, I
all
say
of
we
us
all
do,
do. We all have
right?
bias. You can't,
So
yeah.
it's not
Mm-hmm.
in your best interest to
Mm-hmm.
make decisions in that context when you
Mm-hmm.
have a bias. I just had a recent situation where a decision was made, and I know the decision was made on bias. I know it was because there was no
Right.
context around how you made that decision. There was nothing really, really solid on
Not
how you made
collaborative,
that
certainly, it
decision.
sounds
Not
like.
definitely
Yeah.
not collaborative. No.
Right.
So
Mm.
it's you have to be careful of that because what that will do is it will
Mhm.
strain and break relationships.
Mhm.
And if it's a pattern, right?
Right.
People get sick and tired of the same patterns all the
Right.
time.
Right.
So if it's a pattern, it's just
Mhm.
going to take it out. But I agree with
Yeah.
what you said. You can't take it personal. I'm not going to say,
Mm.
Karen, I probably am as cool, calm, and collected as you are in some situations. If I must be actually honest, because there's been a couple.
Sure.
There was one recent where I had to have my inner circle. I had to be like, Paula, I need you to pause. And I had to have
Right.
somebody else write my communication. I
Yes.
literally followed somebody else's lead because I was too
Hmm.
emotionally charged. But I knew
Hmm.
I was emotionally charged. I knew that about
Well, that's
myself.
key though. Right.
Right.
That's a
I
big part. You
acknowledged it
stopped.
and I stopped and I
Yes.
said, I'm going to let you communicate. I'm just going
Yes.
to send it, but you're going to communicate because
Hmm.
I personally want to go
Hmm.
off. But I
Hmm.
know that would not be, first of all, that's really not my character. That's not how I really roll.
That's just
If
it.
I'm
It's that moment. You
snapping,
don't want that moment.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, if
Uh-huh.
I'm snapping like that, you've really hit a nerve. Now,
Hmm.
I will lose it over my kids. I don't care what you think about me over
You
that,
know I will.
but
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But so let's talk about
Hmm.
personal awareness because you
Hmm.
have to be aware of who you are. Now, I'm going to ask you a
Hmm.
question because you said that you did some things in trauma informed
Yeah.
and all of that. Again, we are not
Hmm.
therapists. We are not certified
No,
in nothing.
please. And
Okay. This is
I'm
just
an
us talking.
amateur.
Yeah.
Yes.
This
Sharing.
is just us
Yes.
talking.
Please. Hmm.
How do you, because I know you've encountered this, I've encountered this, where you have
Hmm.
people who feel they are personally aware and they are not. So they
Oh,
are aware, they
yeah.
think they're aware, but everybody on the outside is like, you are really not aware of how you, whether you lead, you communicate, you
Right.
talk, any of that, right? So from a
Hmm.
personal awareness perspective, again, it's a little bit off script, but it just came to my mind. So I figured,
I
why not have the
noticed it was.
conversation?
Right.
Because I'm quite sure other people are
It's
probably
important.
dealing with this as
Yeah.
well. How do you deal with people who think they're personally aware, especially if they're in leadership and they're not aware at all? And
Right.
and you've tried in ways to communicate in a very
Hmm.
professional way that, okay, how you're coming off, how you feel you're coming off is a hitting. So
Right.
you are not
Right.
hitting the mark, right?
Right.
How
Right.
have you dealt with that as you
Hmm.
navigated in your career? And I'm not just going to throw this at you. I'll come back and answer too. I'll put myself on the
That's
hot
fine
seat
too.
too. But how do you
Right.
deal with people who swear they're great at what they're doing and we're looking at
Yeah.
them like we don't even understand how you got in this position? Let's just keep
Right.
it
Oh,
real.
for sure. Right. Right. Like, yes, right. There are so many people. And again, this speaks to something everyone has experienced. God, how did that person get into that role?
Yeah.
Who did they know? How did they what stars were aligned or misaligned that day? But I'm trying to think of a couple different roles. So two are coming to mind. In one instance, the person was a very open communicator, probably where I learned some of mine. We're okay, if we're gonna have this
Mm,
conversation, we're gonna have this conversation. Across the board, again, I feel better having those conversations one on one because if someone's feelings are gonna get hurt, I want them to be able to be real with me. If they have questions for me, I want to be able to be real too. And I didn't know. So the one where the communicator was very open, incredibly open, I was able to just come out and say, listen, people, in this during this event, this is what people were saying. I know your intentions were XYZ. People were saying this. I need you to know about this because the reputation is on the line, right? We're growing, we're hitting markets again internationally in that case. I need you to know. And yes, a little bit of an emotional response. Again, human. Okay. In that case, I'll say a human response. What? But I put so much work into it. That's not at all what the intention was. Well, that's the message that was received. Now, how do we work together? Who do you, right? And then immediately, like almost into reaction. Who do you need? What do you need to get the message you actually wanted out to people? Because that person was open to, oh, I won't use the language, but oh, darn. Um, that needs to be fixed. Another, but unfortunately, to the other angle, you hit on it earlier too. Some people just as soon as they get a title, or maybe they've always felt this way, they're the expert. They're the expert. They're not to be questioned. I still will make an effort and say, let's say, I know this is a message you wanted to get out. Again, maybe more of a longer local initiative. This is a message you want to get out, but you know what? That's not really how it's hidden. The words, right? If I were to say, what are the 5 words that come to mind when you think of this organization, this initiative, which I did sometimes with clients? Hey, I do that sometimes, and this isn't the words that are coming back. I don't think are the words we want to be hearing. Not terrible, but they're off track, right? They're just off track. They're not what we're wanting to deliver on. And in that case, it was more of a closed door that I hit against. So with that, again, back to the unicorn role, I do. I tend to, I'm not saying that's not the only one step, one conversation and done, but for the purpose of this conversation, trying to go to enter conversations in different ways with that individual. And as much as I don't love doing it, maybe appealing to their ego in some conversations. Oh my gosh, you're doing all this great work. And if none of those were hitting as was the case, then yeah, I do kind of take it on myself to try to course correct and get folks on more of the right track and understanding what our organization did, because it just kind of was a dead end. Um, so and maybe just finding more allies. Okay, in that situation, great. Now I have allies maybe in the audience of clients that know better what we do. And I say, hey, can you go tell this person? Can you tell these people? And really just knowing who your resources are and what their reach is. So
Mhm.
two different approaches really depended on how the person I was talking with, you know, how they received it.
I agree with all that. I think for me, what I would do, in addition to what you just advised,
Mhm.
is give them the data on the pattern
For sure.
that they've been
Mhm.
demonstrating, right? So, for example, I'm just going to use this as an example. So nobody come for me. It's just an example, okay?
Don't try to.
Because for some reason
Right.
I'll say something like, "But Paula, who you talking about?" I'm not talking about anybody. I'm just giving an example because I've experienced
Mhm.
a lot of different things in my career and a lot of different
Right.
industries, right?
Mhm.
If you are a leader and nobody stays on your team, you are the problem. There's no if, ands, or buts about it. If your attrition is
Yeah.
atrocious, you
Mhm.
are the problem because there's
Mhm.
something there that's making people not want to work with you, not stay with you, not want to follow your leadership, right?
Mhm.
So you have to acknowledge that it's not all of these people wanting to get other positions or other jobs. Stop telling yourself a lie and
Mhm.
start to figure out and work on
Right.
yourself, right? Because
Right.
if you don't work on yourself, you're going to continue to have the same result. As you said, we're both results, right?
And it,
So
yeah, and you can make
it's a
change.
pattern. Yeah, it's
Please make change.
okay.
All of us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yep.
okay. Just
Yep.
and sometimes personal awareness hurts. Self-awareness can
Mhm.
hurt
Mhm.
sometimes. Self-reflection isn't always pretty. It isn't always
Mhm.
roses, right?
Right.
Sometimes when you have to look at yourself in the mirror and deal with the what is those things that are hindering you or
Right.
limiting you, you have to do that. It
Mhm.
is okay. Just know that once
Mhm.
you deal with it, once you
Right.
identify the root cause, once you fix it, it is so
Mhm.
much better on the other side,
Uh-huh.
right?
Yeah, you
When
learn
I
so
was a
much more.
leader, yeah, when I started
Mhm.
my leadership, I thought I was something. Oh, I got the title. I'm this, I'm that, I'm great, right?
Mhm.
No, I had to learn. I had to take training. There's
Mhm.
nothing wrong with that. I took a lot. I've taken training on how to communicate effectively. I've taken
Oh,
training
yeah.
on how to facilitate effectively. I've taken
Mhm.
training on how to lead. I've taken training on how to negotiate, how to influence. I've taken
Mhm.
training on those things, and it's to better
Right.
me, right? But it's
Mhm.
also I know that it will better my team. And
Right.
so, if you find that you're always having to defend yourself and to always having
Mhm.
to demonstrate to people how good you are and all of that,
Right.
take a pause for a minute because there might be some things you need to work on there that only you can work on, right? And
Mhm.
another thing that I found from a leadership perspective is we put a lot of pressure on ourselves, even
Oh, for
outside of
sure.
leadership. Let's say
Yes.
you're not even in
Yes.
management, you put a lot of pressure on
Mhm.
yourself. Sometimes
Mhm.
that pressure you're putting on you, you're the one putting it on you. Nobody else has any of that expectation of
No,
you, but you're
it's
putting
very
that
true.
pressure on you, right? So, how
Mhm.
do you get to a point and recognize that if you see this pattern,
Mhm.
right? And if I come to you and I say,
Mhm.
this is the pattern,
Yeah.
you can sit here and argue data all you want, but this is the pattern.
Mhm.
What you gonna do
Mhm.
about it? Because there's two things you can do about it. You can
Right.
do something about it, you can ignore it. So if you choose
Right.
to ignore it, don't be upset when you keep getting the same
That
results.
part. Yeah, the same. Yes, exactly. You and I are going to say the same thing. Don't be upset if you're not changing anything and the result is the same, the same, the same. It's just different people, but the
Mm-hmm.
result is the same.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you've
Absolutely.
got to. Yeah, you've got to watch all
Mhm.
that. And again, sometimes it hurts. Sometimes you think you're doing great, and you
Right.
just realize, oh, I missed the mark on that. I mean, even as seasoned
Oh,
as a
sure.
leader as I
Oh, my
am,
goodness. Yes.
yeah, I made a misstep last year on
Hmm.
something in an organization that I was in. I
Mhm.
apologized for it. I said, you know what? Now that I think about it and I'm listening to y'all perspective,
Mhm.
yeah, I can see how that could have came off that way. All right, my bad.
Mhm.
Next time we're not
Mhm.
going to do it that way, right? We're going to do something a
Right.
little bit different. I'm in a lot of leadership positions outside of my day job. I'm on many different
Yes,
boards.
you
I'm in
are.
many different. I'm
Right.
all in the community, right? So I'm
Mhm.
in a lot of different
Mhm.
leadership positions, and I'm different depending on what I'm leading, right? So
Yes.
it's a
Oh my
different sort
goodness,
of thing.
yes. Yes.
So it's just the awareness is so important. And if somebody comes
Mhm.
to you and can give you a pattern
Mhm.
and say this is the
Mhm.
pattern that they're seeing, just
Absolutely.
listen. Now, if
Absolutely.
it's just their opinion, that's something
And
different.
right.
But if they're
Right.
actually giving you actual data,
Mhm.
constructive feedback, that's
Mhm.
something different, right? And
Right.
so, as we talk about emotions, because we talked about that a
Mhm.
couple of times, what are the emotional costs of staying in the wrong environment too long? As I talk
Mm.
about people attriting, just leaving,
Mhm.
right? Because you have
Right.
that.
It
But what are some of
happens,
the
yes.
emotional costs of staying in the wrong environment for
Yeah.
too long? Oh, I got a lot for this one too. Lord have
Right.
mercy.
Get a snack. Same
Yeah,
word.
I get
Um,
popcorn.
yes. What are the gosh, the emotional um there's oh, it's far reaching. That's the word that I want to say. That's the
Mm,
thing. The emotional toll is far reaching. It's not
mhm,
just, oh, the workplace I stayed too long.
mhm,
It's going to affect, like you said, you lead throughout the community. Well, if one or two of those things is going poorly and you've tried, you're trying to work things out, it emotionally, you're going to be able to give less to the others.
right.
Emotionally, I'm going to be able to give less to my family or my hobby or my whatever the case may be. Um, and it can, I mean, emotionally, but it can also have, of course, as we know, a poor effect on physical health, right?
Mhm,
um that can really pull you down. That can just staying in the wrong place. And if you're a results person, I'm a results person, yes, I have learned plenty. I have had my team come up and correct me in the moment, but I'm
mhm,
open to that. It is painful, it's really painful, and like you said, the outcome is worth it though. um, but a lot of that takes a toll. If you or I have tried a lot of different ways to make progress on something, whether make it right, make it better, whatever word you want to use, right? Get past the hurdle. Paula and I have had some great conversations around. I realized my purpose in life is to remove those needless obstacles so people can really shine. So when again, video games, there have been times fairly recently that I just picture all those, the little cars throwing out the little needless obstacles, the little turtle shells and everything. Um, when you have all those things coming at you, it's hard to stay in the game, right? It's hard to say, gosh, I really want to be here and really doing this because, oh, I feel like no matter which way I'm going to turn, this person or this team is going to, or this leader or whatever is going to have an issue with that. My results are showing results and they're improving, they're growing, they're great, and they're fantastic. Oh, but I still have to go and tell this person who's just, I mean, it affects your whole day,
mhm,
and well beyond work. There is a great emotional toll when you stay in the wrong place too long. And it
mhm.
does start to affect your decisions and your actions outside of work, unfortunately, too.
No lies told there. I've been in situations and I've been in toxic environments. I've been in very high performing environments, which are great.
Yes.
Right. The
Hmm.
environment I'm in right now,
Hmm.
I am loving it. Right. It is an
Good. Yeah.
amazing environment. But I've
Hmm.
also been in those toxic environments where when I left the environment, it's like I detox. My body just detoxed itself
Yes.
because I was holding
And you didn't know,
all of
right? I'm
that
just
stress.
picturing
I didn't
like
know
just
it,
that
right?
tense.
Then you
Yeah.
just tend to, you don't realize it
Uh-huh.
until you're
Uh-huh.
out of the environment, and then you're like, dang, that
Yeah.
environment had me tore up. I mean, it's sort of like your whole
Right.
body just releases all of that
Yes.
stress and everything that has been built up in that
Hmm.
environment. And the thing that I've realized in some of these environments is some leaders allow a team member or two to just run amok. You got to stop that too. If you have a team
Often.
member just
Right.
running rogue, just doing whatever they want to do and you condone it, they're not performing, they're not
Hmm.
hitting goals, they're not
Hmm.
doing what they're supposed to be doing, but then
Hmm.
you on top of everybody else who working their tail off trying to get stuff done, and we see that just other person gets all these concessions. I mean, the
People
stuff
always
that's
see it.
happened, right?
People always
So what
see
do you
it.
think
Yeah.
that emotional cost is right there of
Hmm.
staying in that wrong environment? Now you have
Hmm.
resentment, now you got stress, now you got, look, you could even have
Yeah.
workplace violence It happens.
Yes, actually,
It
yes, I
happens.
know. Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
unfortunate. People will
It
come in
is.
and they just lose it. And so the emotional toll of you staying in an environment that doesn't serve
Yeah.
you is not great. Now, here's another thing I'm going to say though. Now, when y'all listen to this podcast, we are not telling you to leave your job. Okay.
No,
We are not telling you to
please.
go jump,
Right.
leave your job. This job market is rough. I'm
Yes.
just saying, if you got a job right now, go to therapy, get some strategies, figure it
Right.
out
Know
until we
who's
can get
important in
over
your
this
circle
job
to
market.
support
Right.
you.
Because
Yes.
right now,
Have
this
good
job market
conversations.
is not for the weak. This
Yes,
job market is rough. Right. So
it is.
sometimes, because of this situation we're
Hmm.
in, you have to determine if you're going to adapt or if you're going to leave.
Right.
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 So,
Yes.
what advice would you give to someone, Karen, that's
Hmm.
in that right now where they're like, look, these
Hmm.
people getting on my
Hmm.
nerves. I wake up every morning dreading going to work. I
Right.
don't want to go in this environment. I am not
Mm.
thriving. I'm surviving.
Hmm.
I'm just working
Hmm.
to pay my bills and to make it
Yeah,
through. But if something
it
doesn't
happens.
give, I'm going
Right.
to snap, or as our young people say, I'm going to crash out. So,
Right.
what advice would you
Is
give
that
to
what they say?
someone? That's what, girl, they be coming up with terms every week. I'll be
I
trying to keep
know.
up.
I
I don't
know.
understand,
I just love using them
What
in
should
front of the
someone,
kids.
yeah, when should
Yeah.
someone adapt versus when they should leave?
Oh
Well, what do you think?
gosh. So I'm not skipping out on this answer, but it's such a personal decision, right?
Mm.
Um, a few thoughts. So let me think. Let me take a moment here, collect them. That's what you're seeing happening right now. Um, in priority, let me pull out that file drawer. Uh, a few things. So if you're in that role, because I have been a leader where I knew there was a toxic person, and I will say to this day that person was my best interview to date. Nailed it in so many ways. And
Okay.
for a good part of that person working on my team was a fantastic person. Um, Ultimately, just wasn't even like, oh, it wasn't a fit for the role. She had anger. She had anger, and it was
Mm.
towards clients, towards her team, towards her in little subtle ways. And just beyond that, just did not want to do work. All just one of those things you're like, am I going to write a textbook after this on how to deal with this? So I want to say, if you are in a situation where you're on a team and you're thinking, is this leader not seeing this person? Please know too, oftentimes leaders do, but there's a process. There was a process and I did need to follow it. And thank goodness, I will say this, it did not take a great amount of time, but it took a little bit of time.
Mm.
Um, and I will say, when that person left, when they were let go, um, the team was a new team again. They were, back to being productive, back to being, they were very excited to come to me. That's the hard part too when you're in leadership. You can't say, don't worry, y'all. I see it. Don't do
Right.
that as leader. So how do you do it? So that's one thing is, do you have an understanding? Is this something that just started recently and don't say, oh, well, that's it. It started. This is how it's going to be. I'm walking.
Mm-hmm.
No, give it time. Always, gosh, it's kind of like I always say, we're not going to get political today, trust. But I always say, I don't want to jump into a political conversation generally, but I especially don't want to jump into a political conversation with someone who did not vote. So if you're that person on the team who's always just chatting here and there, and oh my gosh, this is horrible and I don't like this, but you're not taking your concerns or your thoughts or your ideas, right, to the right people, whether it's leadership, whether it's your colleagues who are leading some kind of project, really, how can you complain truly that things aren't working out if you've never attempted to have yourself heard? So be sure you are attempting to be heard. And you know what? The internet, there are great things out there too, people. So if you're having struggles with, I just cannot have a conversation with this person, go do some Google searches, right? I don't, whatever you think that person is, how to communicate with a narcissist, I don't know. But like, build your knowledge, right? Like, the worst thing that could come out of that is, I now have knowledge on how to work with people better. I will say again, back to the trauma informed stuff. Um, Knowing again what little, very little part that I learned, please. Um, I approach conversations differently. I just do. And I'm so happy that I learned what I learned about myself too. Trust. It wasn't like, oh, everybody else. No, about myself and why I do the things I do. But also, even just having that knowledge changed the way I communicated at work, at home.
Mm-hmm.
But educate yourself. And ultimately, like Paula said, the job market. It's an adventure right now, which I knew. But be smart. Always have your eyes open. I think Paula, you and I have talked about this too. One thing that not all leaders do, and it is a space maybe of discomfort. I have always encouraged my teams. What do you want to do? If it's on my team and you want to grow and you can grow in that way on my team, fantastic. If it's not, oh, it breaks my heart a little bit. But all right, let's make that goal happen for you while you're
Mhm,
on my team. I want to shape whatever that next skill or job you want. I want to shape what I can here that still benefits the team. I'm still business minded, don't get me wrong, but
mhm,
I still want to help that individual grow. So know who you have, know your resources. Make sure that your voice is being heard. You're trying to, and always have a pulse on what's out there anyway. Network, and educate yourself. Like that's not a laundry list of things to do, but really I am. That's why I say we have these little snippets and little conversations. But trust, I always try many different ways to get to a solution or get to better, bigger things.
mhm,
Don't give up. Try to make it better while you're there as much as you
mhm.
can and network otherwise. Get yourself out there, meet new people.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I mean, I would tell somebody to leave if the
Hmm.
environment has gotten so bad that it is really severely impacting your health. And nothing is worth your
Right.
health and
No.
wellness. I mean, if you're
Hmm.
mentally and physically, emotionally just wiped, distraught, and it's not doing anything at all, adding any value to your
Hmm.
life, it's almost better to not have that part of your life so that
Hmm.
you can actually thrive and find something else and
Right.
not end up in the hospital because
Right.
of a job, right? A job
Right.
shouldn't have you in the
It's not needed.
hospital. It's
Mm-mm.
definitely not. It's definitely
Mm-mm.
not needed. But I would also tell people to always be strategic. Right. So,
Hmm.
and Karen, you and I have had many conversations, but you and I have talked about this as well, right? If there's one thing
Hmm.
I'm going to be is I'm going to be strategic. I'm going to know where I'm
Yes.
getting to my breaking point, and then I'm going to know I need to leave.
Right.
So
Right.
therefore, I'm going to need
Hmm.
to go to start looking for something different, and I'm going to start putting those
Hmm.
feelers out there. And people don't need
Hmm.
to know all your business. People don't need to know
No,
what you're going
please.
through. People don't need to know
Hmm.
how you're navigating. You know, you're doing
Hmm.
your own thing. You're making those connections, and you're doing what's best for you. Because at
Hmm.
the end of the day, the person you're responsible for is you. And so, if that means you have to leave, you
Right.
have to leave. I've watched many of people leave different
Hmm.
positions in the nonprofit and the for-profit sector. It
Oh,
doesn't
absolutely
matter,
both.
right?
No.
That where they've
Hmm.
had to leave positions mainly because of maybe the work or the experiences
Hmm.
or things of that nature. Unfortunately, a lot of people do leave because of someone at the job, whether it's
Right.
leadership or not. And so
Often.
that's
Right.
you don't want to be the reason somebody leaves
No.
your position or your job, but you have to know, as Karen said, within yourself what is the best
Hmm.
thing for you and truly for you. I have resigned from positions not really knowing what I was going to do next. Just taking that leap of faith, and it allowed me
Hmm.
to do other things. And then I've worked for corporations. I do my own business. I do a lot of
Hmm.
different things, but you have to do what serves you and what makes you happy. And so
Right.
this is the year to do it. This is the year I coined it. I coined it last year, and it's happening. So many people. This is the
Yes, I
year.
remember.
Yes, this is the year shift, y'all. This is the year to really start evaluating your
Hmm.
environments,
Yeah.
personal, work, all of them,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
really start evaluating if they're adding value. You are going to
Hmm.
probably find that there's going to be some people,
Yeah.
organizations, all of that you are going to detach
Hmm.
from, or
And that's
you
okay.
just get detached. You weren't really expecting it.
Right.
It just happened. Don't keep running back to those things. Let the shift happen. Let those things have
Hmm.
happen in your life and do different things. I mean, Karen, you and I, we've had some major shifting. Lord have mercy on my soul. Still shifting
Yes.
going
Yes.
on
Still
in our
shifting.
lives this
Right.
year, right? I mean, I
I enjoy
called it.
change, and it's been a lot.
Yeah, it's
Right.
girl. I'm telling
Yeah.
you, I am convinced
Hmm.
the reason we met
I
was to go through this
know.
time. together. You never know when, when people are put in your life
Yes.
for a reason.
Oh,
But yes, we've gone
mhm.
through a lot of shifting and a lot of things. But
Yes.
okay, so I'm going to put a little plug in here first, and then I'm going to ask you to
Mhm.
share how people can stay connected as we're getting close to
Yes,
the
have
top
to.
of the hour.
Yeah.
But okay, so you all heard my girl here. She is looking for a position. Let me tell you something. So I don't know when you're going to watch this. So by the time you watch it, it may not be true anymore because you might have a position. But as of May 18th at 6:55 p.m. Central Standard Time, my girl here, my sis, is looking for a position. I'm going to tell you right now, if you get Karen to join your team, she's going to take you to the next level. That's what I'm going to tell
Mhm.
you. She's
Thank
going to
you.
take you to the next level. She will come up, her creativity, her detective skills, her testing skills, her researching
Mhm.
skills, uncovering stuff. I've been in the car before lost, and I was on the phone with Karen, and Karen is looking at where I'm at, pulling up maps and getting me to the next spot. Karen is just a wealth
Mhm.
of information. I can't speak highly of her enough. If you
Thank
are
you.
lucky enough to get her to say yes to your offer, you will have a person trust that you will not want to live without, because she is really phenomenal at anything event planning, organizing, getting clients, the whole nine. So if you know of anyone who is looking for some new talent on their team, make sure that you reach out to Karen, because she's going to give you how you can connect with her here in a minute. So make sure
Mhm.
you reach out to her. But I wanted to put that disclaimer out because I know what it is like when you're in this job market, because I just got out of it.
Mhm.
So I understand what it's like. But
Yes.
Karen, for those who want to
Yes.
stay connected with you or maybe even make connections, what is the best way to do
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, happily. Oh my goodness. And yes, I am looking for something right now. I prepared something because I Paula will also know I am a lot about my team and the project and the sometimes I forget talk about me. So I prepared a little something. I
Mhm.
do want to just express I have navigated so many different industries, but sometimes as a fractional leader, I had a friend call me several years ago saying, "Hey, our online retail, the customer service is not working out." And like Paula said, just like when I had the maps up, I'm like, "Well, what's not working out about your online retail customer service?" And help them restructure that because I love just finding solutions. Love it. So yes, I've navigated multiple industries. That is a unique strength I have come to find because that has allowed me to find all different approaches, to try new things, to learn from my failures. I'm going to fail on a weekly basis. I try to keep them small, but those are learning experiences to get to the real growth and the real successes. So I just love building that strength around um, the goals, the projects, the organization. I live and breathe the organization. I always say I will talk about my job. I've recruited volunteers in the drive-through. Getting my coffee. I will talk about it because I love building that for the team. I love building resilience and empowerment in my teams. I want folks to genuinely thrive because it does affect so much of their lives. So again, you'll see me out there. I am on LinkedIn, of course, is probably the best way if you are looking for someone to really elevate what's going on in your team. I'm happy to talk with you. But even if you just want to have a conversation about the job market, about leadership right now, please do reach out. So I am Karen Allen on LinkedIn because there are only a million of those. But my LinkedIn is Karen dash Allen, sorry, Karen dash Allen dash 250. And of course, Paula and I are connected on LinkedIn. Would love to talk with you.
Yes, yes. So as we wrap up, I got to give some final thoughts because you all know that's
Mm,
how I do. So we're going to give these final thoughts and then we're going to roll out of here. Karen, stay with me though as we roll out. But sometimes we question our ability when we
mm,
should really be questioning our environment. Not every space is designed to nurture your growth, and staying in the wrong one can
mm,
make you doubt what was never broken. So the moment you align yourself with the right environment, you don't just perform better, you become who you always were meant to be. So, with that, y'all, go out here and level up. You all know what environments you need to be in. You all know if the environment you're in right now is not serving you. And if it's not serving
mm.
you, start strategizing. And if you need help with that, reach out to me and Karen on LinkedIn because trust, we've been through it multiple times. So, with that,
Mhm.
that's a wrap, you all. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you for engaging and listening. To keep the conversations going, please, please, please subscribe to
Mhm.
our channels. They're all up on the screen. You can find me on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Pod, Instagram. You can find me in all of these places. Turn on your notifications to know when we go live. And in addition, please leave comments, as we would love to hear from you and actually have deeper conversation with you, or maybe even help you navigate what you're going through. But remember, protect your peace, honor your purpose, and always speak your truth. Until next time, we out.